Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're unpacking what is literally one of the most awe-inspiring events in human history, the night journey of the Prophet Muhammad. Now, you probably know the basics, right? But today, we are going step by step through a detailed travelogue based purely on the classical tafsir of Ibn Kathir. We're going to examine the exact sequence of events, who he met at every single layer of the heavens, the cosmic sights, and the fascinating historical footprint this journey actually left behind. Okay, let's dive into this explainer. But before we even map out the itinerary, we have to tackle a massive theological question that people have debated for centuries. Was the mirage just a vision? Is it purely a spiritual dream where the prophet's soul traveled while his body stayed asleep? Or was it a waking, physical reality? Setting this foundation is absolutely crucial because it totally dictates how we understand the magnitude of everything we're about to explore today. Well, Ibn Kathir lays out definitive evidence proving this was a physical, waking journey. First off, he points to a massive linguistic clue in the very first verse of Surah Al-Isra. Allah uses the word abd, which means servant. And in Arabic, abd doesn't just mean a spirit, it's the full combination of body and spirit. Plus, think about it. When the Prophet told people about this the next morning, the disbelievers of Makkah fiercely mocked him. Even some new Muslims kind of doubted him. If he had just claimed he had a fascinating dream, what's there to falsify? People have wild dreams every single night. The intense backlash really only makes sense if he was claiming a literal, physical journey that completely defied the laws of physics. So, here's our itinerary for today. First, the earthly departure, then the ascent to the heavens, reaching the peak of Sidratul Muntaha, the command of the 5 prayers, the return journey, and finally, the historical evidence. Starting with Part 1, the earthly departure. We're beginning in the physical realm, kicking off the first leg of the journey late at night in the sacred city of Makkah. Let's get our vocabulary absolutely clear straight from the text. This event is actually 2 distinct journeys. Al-Isra is the specific name for the earthly nighttime travel from Makkah to Baitul Maqdis, or Jerusalem. Al-Miraj, on the other hand, is the upward ascension from Jerusalem into the heavens. And the vehicle for that earthly leg? The Buraq. Ibn Kathir describes it as a special, heavenly riding horse designed exclusively for this miraculous trip. Now, here's the precise sequence of that earthly leg. The Prophet departs Mecca on the Buraq. In just a fraction of the night, he covers a massive distance that would normally take weeks and arrives right at the gate of Baitul Maqdis. Notice the super physical details Ibn Kathir emphasizes here. He actually ties the Buraq close to the gate, physically walks into the mosque, and offers 2 rak'ah of Tahiyatul Masjid, the prayer to honor the mosque. It's a very grounded physical sequence of actions right before the cosmic journey kicks off. Which brings us to Part 2, the ascent to the heavens. And this brilliantly illustrates the shift from the familiar to the miraculous. The Prophet is now standing in Jerusalem, ready for the mirage. So how exactly did he go up? According to the text, a miraculous staircase was literally brought down. Through this staircase, the Prophet ascended from Baitul Maqdis to the first heaven. Now, Ibn Kathir beautifully points out that we shouldn't get caught up doubting the mechanics of this. Even today, we step onto escalators and elevators that effortlessly glide us upwards, right? If humans can engineer that, the Creator's miraculous staircase is absolutely beyond question. As he goes up, the text gives us incredible, specific details of who he met at every single layer of the heavens. At each heaven, Jibreel asked for the gates to be opened. The resident gatekeepers would ask, "Who is it?" and "Has he been sent for?" Once confirmed, they gave him this grand cosmic welcome saying, "Welcome unto the pious brother and pious prophet." And through these gates, he met the great prophets who came before him in their stationed realms. Prophet Adam was on the first heaven, Prophets Yahya and Isa on the second, Prophet Yusuf on the third, Prophet Idris on the fourth, Prophet Harun on the fifth, Prophet Musa on the sixth, and Prophet Ibrahim on the seventh. He was literally seeing the definitive hierarchy of the heavens, face to face. Moving on to Part 3, the peak of Sidratul Muntaha. Right after the 7th heaven, the Prophet moved beyond the stations of all the blessed prophets and entered a realm of pure, unimaginable awe. I really want you to visualize the vivid details Ibn Kathir provides here. The Prophet reaches a plane where he literally hears the sound of pens writing out destinies. He sees the Sidratul Muntaha, which is the massive far tree in Jannah, and cascading all over it from above are these incredible moths in brilliant gold and all sorts of varied colors. And right there, the angel Jibreel, who normally appeared in human form, reveals his staggering, true form with 600 wings. A massive green flag completely covers the horizon, and he sees Al-Bayt al-Ma'mur, the heavenly counterpart to the Kaaba, with Prophet Ibrahim just peacefully reclining his back against its wall. To even kind of grasp the sheer, mind-bending scale al Bayt al-Ma'mur, the text tells us that 70,000 angels enter this heavenly house every single day. And here's the crazy part. Once they exit, it will literally never be their turn to enter again, right up until the day of Qiyamah. That number, 70,000 unique angels every single day since it was created, just gives you a staggering glimpse into the vastness of the angelic host.
All right, part 4, the command of 5 prayers.
Now we hit the absolute pinnacle of this journey. So, the crucial point is this. It was at this unimaginable height that the command for daily prayer was given. Initially, the Ummah was obligated with 50 daily prayers. But during the descent, the Prophet had this amazing conversation with Prophet Musa, who warned him that his followers just wouldn't be able to handle 50, drawing on his own tough experiences with the children of Israel. Prompted by Musa, the Prophet actually returned to his Lord multiple times to ask for a reduction. This back-and-forth conversation continued until the prayers were finally reduced to just 5 daily prayers, while incredibly still keeping the reward of 50. At that point, the Prophet felt too shy to ask for any further reduction.
Which leads into part 5, the return journey.
Having received that ultimate command, the narrative shifts homeward. After that, the Prophet alights back into Bayt al-Maqdis. And interestingly, Ibn Kathir explains that the blessed prophets he just met in the heavens actually descended with him, almost like they were seeing him off. Guided by a signal from Jibreel, Prophet Muhammad steps forward and leads all the prophets in prayer. I mean, what a massive theological moment, demonstrating his leadership over all prior prophets. After that, he mounts the Buraq and rides back to Mecca before dawn. And during this return ride, the text notes very specific physical things he saw. He passed by the caravans of the Quraysh, saw them actively searching for a lost camel, and even drank from their covered water vessel while they slept. These were empirical details he later used to prove he physically made the trip.
And finally, part 6, the historical evidence. Now, you might be wondering, is there any actual historical footprint to all of this? Well, years later, the Prophet sent a letter to the Roman Emperor Heraclius. Heraclius ended up summoning some Arab traders visiting Syria to investigate this man claiming prophethood. Abu Sufyan, who was a staunch disbeliever and a huge enemy of the Prophet at the time, was brought forward. Abu Sufyan was totally desperate to say something to expose the Prophet as a liar, but he was afraid of being caught in a lie himself, so he decided to tell the emperor about the night journey, figuring the sheer impossibility of traveling from Makkah to Jerusalem and back in one single night would definitely prove to the emperor that the Prophet was a fraud.
But Abu Sufyan's plan spectacularly backfired, because standing right next to the emperor was the leading scholar of Elia, or Jerusalem. When he heard the date of the journey, this scholar spoke up. He revealed that on that exact night, he was trying to close the gates of Bayt al-Maqdis, like he always did, but one gate absolutely would not close. His staff tried, but the panels wouldn't budge, like they were pushing against a mountain. They eventually called in carpenters, who deduced that the immense weight of the building had somehow shifted directly onto the panels, so they had to leave it open. The very next morning, the scholar found a newly made hole in the rock near the gate, where an animal had clearly been tied. He realized right then that a prophet had visited. This physical anomaly, the massive shifting of the gate's weight and the hole in the rock, was the literal empirical footprint left by the Buraq.
It is such an incredible realization. Abu Sufyan tried to use the journey as proof of a lie, but instead he accidentally uncovered an undeniable historical witness right in the middle of the Roman court. So I'll leave you with this final thought. If the physical reality of the night journey was so profound that it literally shifted the architecture and halted the massive gates of Jerusalem, how deeply should the spiritual legacy of that night, the gift of the 5 daily prayers, anchor our hearts and our routines today? Thank you so much for exploring this remarkable travelogue with me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep reflecting, and I'll catch you next time.